If you're tracking your workouts, it will reveal a lot of patterns linked to your hormonal cycles. So you want to build muscle, you want to lose weight, lose fat, your sleep, your stress, and your nutrition are going to impact your performance. You can't just go and try and lift your body weight. You need to set goals. Hey guys, welcome back to this week's episode of It's Pretty Simple, a podcast about fitness, nutrition, and fat loss. I'm your host, Nikita, and I'm here to help you make your journey just a little bit more simple. So today we're going to be diving into a topic that is often overlooked, but it can completely change how you approach your fitness journey. We're going to be talking about tracking your workouts. So whether you're just starting out or you've been training for years, tracking is going to be a massive game changer for your progress and your mindset and just your overall results and just to see how far you've gotten. So let's jump into it. First things first, why does tracking matter? Tracking your workouts is not just about writing your numbers down into a notebook or an app and then never looking at it again. It is about creating a roadmap for your progress. So you're building a visual representation of your hard work, which is going to help you stay motivated and consistent. And even more importantly than that, it's going to ensure that you're progressing because you have data to look back at. And visual representations are one of the best ways to actually strive towards your goals and also actually see what's going on, right? Like this is why we do vision boards. You write down your to-do list. All these things just help you progress with whatever you're doing. So in the same way, tracking your workouts is also a visual representation of where you're at now. And it gives you a roadmap to where you're going and where you can potentially reach in the future, especially if you have any specific goals. So tracking your workouts goes hand in hand with my favorite topic, progressive overload. So we're going to jump into this just a little bit. It's the principle that if you want to get stronger, you want to build muscle, you want to lose weight, lose fat, improve your fitness, you need to be gradually increasing the demand that you're placing on your body. So I actually did an entire episode on progressive overload and I mentioned it in many other episodes. So if you have not listened to that yet, make sure that you go and check it out. I do a deep dive into the topic explaining the entire concept to you, but I'm going to give you a quick little recap explanation here. So progressive overload means that you're slowly increasing the challenge over time on your muscles, on your body. This could mean lifting heavier weights, doing more reps, or even working with tempo or just trying to improve your form. So for an example, if you are squatting 50 kg for 8 reps, your next step could be to try 52.5 kg for 8 reps or stick to 50 kg and aim for 10 reps instead. The whole point is to push slightly beyond what you've done before while you're still able to maintain good form because we do not want any injuries. Tracking your workouts goes hand in hand with progressive overload. As I said, it's going to allow you to see where you've started, what you've been doing, and how you are progressing over time. So in the past, before I started tracking, I had no idea if I was progressing or not. Like I just look at my muscles, say, oh, they're a little bit bigger today. But that's not really going to give you anything, is it? Or you just go and like try out 5 kilos on your bicep curls and say, this is easy today. I'm going to try another weight. It's not really accurate. I mean, you are going to be pushing yourself. And this is a thing I used to do. So yes, I'm realizing the 5 kilos are too light. So I'm just going to go test out the 6 kilos and see how I feel. But there's no actual tracking and there's no actual, there's no sense of what I was doing. Yes, that technique does work, just gauge it out and see how you feel. But if you really want to get the results that you want to get, then it's better to actually track it without just guessing. So yeah, just going to the gym, see what felt good and do that. Sometimes stick with the same weights, sometimes increase, but not really knowing what I was doing. But once I did start tracking, I was forced to acknowledge that I could push a little bit more and actually know what I was doing and if I was actually progressing with that movement or not. Because I could now see on paper that last week I did 10 reps on a certain weight. So maybe this week I'm going to try for 11, or I can increase the weight just a little bit. Now, this has also helped me recognize patterns in different phases of my cycle, which has become more and more obvious to me the older that I'm getting. So, for example, before my period, I realized I cannot lift as much as I did the week before. I'm a lot more fatigued. I'm sleeping a lot more. And having these numbers there helped me big time mentally because it reassures me that it wasn't my strength that was decreasing, but rather the hormonal fluctuation that's happening in my body. So this kind of awareness has been super important for me to stay consistent and not get discouraged mentally. And also, especially because I travel so much, I do end up taking longer breaks from the gym and, or I'm doing different workouts and I don't have access to the same weights. And also, like, if I take a break and I come back to the gym, I look at my workout, what I did the previous workout. Let's say if I've gone on a trip for 2 weeks, this number is from 2 weeks before. I know that I'm not going to jump straight onto this number. I'm going to first try to warm up with a lower weight. And then if that feels good, I can come up to the number that I left off at 2 or 3 weeks ago. So this is another way that it's been super, super helpful for me to be tracking my weights, just to know where I'm at. And it always feels great that if I come back to the gym and I look at weights that I used 2 weeks prior and I haven't trained for 2 weeks and I still manage to lift the same, it's a big boost for me. It says I haven't lost my strength. So yeah, mentally as well, it's great. Okay, I want to talk a little bit more about women and tracking. So, if you're tracking your workouts, it will reveal a lot of patterns linked to your hormonal cycles. So, for instance, many of us notice that the week before our period, we feel weaker and we might not be able to lift as much weight. And this is completely normal, as the example that I gave you. Tracking is going to help you identify these trends. So, if you are somebody who's beating yourself up for not hitting your usual numbers during certain weeks of the month, having this data is going to give you that clarity and that grace as well. You'll know that it's not you losing your progress, it's just your body responding to hormonal changes. So knowing what phase you're at, it's good to look back at that and then start with those weights. Of course, if you're feeling a little bit stronger, you always can go heavier. But the whole point is that you have everything there. You have the history there to know what happens when. And on the other side, you're also going to notice when you feel extra strong during certain other phases, which can be the perfect time for you to actually push for a PR, personal best. Yeah, so for women, tracking is super important in that sense as well. It's really, really helped me mentally and physically. Now, another thing to consider also is how external factors like your sleep, your stress, and your nutrition are going to impact your performance. So, for example, if you haven't slept well or you've had a particularly stressful week or even day, you might find that you are not able to lift as much and that your energy levels are much, much lower overall. So when you're tracking your workouts, you can make note of these things. Having little notes of your feelings as well makes a big difference. And over time, you're going to start noticing patterns. Maybe you'll see that on nights when you only got 5 hours of sleep, your performance took a massive dip. Maybe you'll notice that when you got 8 hours of sleep, you were able to push more. So this data is super valuable because it's going to teach you what works for your body and what does not. In the same way, nutrition as well. Sometimes people like to track what they're eating before their workout. And this is not something I personally do because it's very nitty gritty for me. And I pretty much eat the same thing and I know what energizes my body. But some people like to do that because certain foods may give you this energy boost for your workout, whereas other foods may not. And you might feel sluggish and heavy. And so also, tracking this could make a difference, but I don't think that's a very important part of it unless you are like seriously focusing on a specific goal in a very short period of time. So tracking isn't just about catching when things go wrong. You are trying to find patterns here, but it's also important that you are using it to celebrate your wins. Like, did you add an extra rep to your squats this week? Did you manage to do that extra pull up? Did you go an extra 2 kilos on your deadlift? Writing these numbers down is going to keep you aware of your progress, and it's also going to remind you of how far you've come because too many people focus on the weighing scale and they don't look at this aspect when actually the numbers that you're getting in the gym are more important part of how much progress you're making than the number on the scale. We all want to get stronger. We all want to build muscle because the more muscle you have, the better your metabolism is going to be, which means you're going to be burning more calories at rest. So if your goal is fat loss, these numbers are important and these little wins are really important. If your goal is strength, obviously being able to track this and seeing it visually is going to be a big win as well. Trust me, when you look back on your notes or your app and you see the progress you've made, you are going to get a huge confidence boost. Like I said earlier, when I take a break from the gym and I come back after 2 weeks and I go and hit squats and I'm doing the exact same weight that I did 2 weeks prior, I feel great. It's a reminder that, I'm still strong, I've still got it, and then I just push more and just get better. So how should you track? Okay, first things first, you want to be choosing your method. You can use a notebook, pen and paper, take to the gym with you, keep it in your gym bag all the time. You can use an app. There's tons of apps out there now that you can just download to track your workouts. or you can just use the note app on your phone. Find something that is easy and convenient for you and that you can actually stick with and look back on. So, what do you track? At minimum, log the exercise, the weight that you're using, and the number of reps and sets that you're doing. And as I mentioned earlier, you can also add notes about how you felt, how much sleep you got, or even what you ate before your workout. For me, how much sleep you got is super important, and also how you're feeling is super important. I also like to keep a little note of how hydrated I am, because I notice that that does make a difference to my energy levels as well and how much I can push. But yeah, how I'm feeling and sleep. Sleep is, I think, the most important note that you need to be making, because it's really going to show you the differences in how far you can push yourself when you slept well and when you have not. And then, of course, you need to set goals. Use your tracking as a tool to set specific goals. So, for example, if you're aiming to deadlift your body weight, you need to be tracking your progress towards that goal over time. You can't just go and try and lift your body weight. It's not going to work, right? So, you need to see where you're at. You need to keep tracking how much you're improving, and it's also going to give you an idea of a timeline of how long it's going to take you to actually get to that point, depending on how consistent you are with your training. Okay, you also need to be making sure that you are reviewing regularly. There's no point of just writing things down and never looking at it again. The whole point of these logs are to spot trends, to see patterns, and to see how much you're progressing. So make sure that you are reviewing every single week, looking at what you did previously, what you're going to do. If you're feeling a little bit weak, you can go back a little bit further and see why and figure that out. So if you're reviewing it, it's going to help you spot the trends, and you can also use it as a tool to make adjustments to your program if you need to. So when I train my clients on the app that I use, they have to put in their weights for each movement. I give them the rep range and I give them the sets, but they have to put that in. And this means that every time they do an exercise, they can go back into the history and see what they previously lifted. This does encourage them to push a little bit more because they have a reference point now. So this gives them something to aim for instead of just guessing and sticking with the same weights out of habit, because most people tend to do that. People don't like change, and if you think I need to lift more, it's your mind is going to automatically tell you you don't. So having these numbers in front of you give you that push. So in this way, at least with my clients, I know that they're motivated to challenge themselves and they actually make real progress. Having that visual reminder makes a huge difference in their consistency as well as their results, because having visual reminders is the best way to make progress in anything. So tracking your workouts doesn't have to be complicated. It is not time consuming, but the benefits are huge and you will really start to see progress. It's going to help you see patterns of the progress that you're making. It's going to help you stay consistent. And if you're not already tracking, I really encourage you to start today. Just take a notebook, a pen, do it in your notes app, and make sure the next workout you have, you're writing everything down, and you're going to start to see changes within the next 2 to 3 weeks if you actually do this consistently and look back and review. I hope that this episode is going to inspire you to go track your workouts and take your fitness journey to the next level. If you found this episode helpful, please make sure to share it with a friend who could possibly benefit from it. And as always, feel free to connect with me. Leave some comments below if you have any questions about tracking, or if you have any questions about anything at all. Leave them below or connect with me on social media. It is in the description below. And if you have not already subscribed or followed on whichever platform you are watching or listening to this podcast on, please make sure that you do that. I really, really enjoy creating content for you guys, and I want to continue to be encouraged to do so. Before I go off, I'd just like to say that I have great plans for this season, and I've got some really cool guests coming on as well, and I'm super, super excited for it. And if there's any specific topic that you guys want me to talk about, please ask. If there's any topic, even if I don't know too much about it, I'm happy to find a guest who does and bring them on the show. I love having conversations. I love learning. And whenever I have a new guest on the podcast, I always learn something from them. And I also want you guys to learn. And yeah, until next time, guys. So go to the gym, take your notebook, track your workouts, and I will see you next week. Have a good day.